trust. Coming up, we have the great Mike Lindell. Nobody has fought harder than Mike Lindell to protect the integrity of our elections. He's, of course, a great businessman, a great American, a patriot. He put it all on the line for our country. What an honor to invite up Mike Lindell. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everybody. I don't know where to start. Let me give you an update here where we're at. I guess because I only got, 20 minutes or so, and I want to give you an update of the great things that are going on. I don't know if you all know, but a case that I started back in the spring of 2022, after, for a year and a half of a...
Everybody in the back, Mike Lindell's up now. Go sit down and let's listen to him. He has, yes, everybody. Yeah, that cute girl over in the corner. Oh, that's my wife. Go sit down. Like I tell my grandkids, go sit down before I hurt you. All right. Come on, you guys, let's go sit down. Everybody sit down. Let's listen to Mike Lindell. I want to listen to him. That is my daughter over there, though. Lucy, go sit down. Yeah. You want a free pillow? Then go sit down.
Free pillows. Well, thank you, Sheriff. Okay, so I'm going to give you this week's update, and then I'll backtrack a little bit. If you all know, for a year and a half after I'm going to start with this. I guess I will go back. I'll start from... I want to tell you when we all started winning, and that was on January 7th and January 8th of 2021. And you're all looking at me like, well, why are those important dates? Well, let me tell you why. Those two dates is when 1.2 million Americans got deplatformed off Vimeo, Suckerbucks Facebook, Crooked YouTube, all of them. Our real president lost his Twitter, remember that? And so everybody that had even spoke out about the election or questioned it, they were deplatformed. Churches were deplatformed, everyone across the country. And everyone that wasn't deplatformed wasn't talking. Why? Because they were put in fear of January 6th, okay? And, well, that's when our voice went down to something so small. When I grew up, we had black and white TVs, and you turned them off as kids, and they went down to a little tiny dot, right? And you turned them back on, and it all came back to life. Well, that day was our voice was that dot, and you couldn't even hardly see it. But since that day, our voice kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I want to tell you, I got my evidence on January 9th, and the evidence that I got explained one thing to me. When after January 3rd of 2020, after the election, the next day, I started looking at these deviations. I look at numbers every day of my life. I took calculus in 9th grade. I was a professional card counter right here in Las Vegas. I've quite a history there. But memories, some too painful to remember. Anyway, I started looking at all these deviations and across the country. But one of the things I couldn't explain was every state that I checked had people that voted in there that didn't live in that state by the thousands. Or even a county I checked on, all these people had voted that didn't live there, okay? And I couldn't imagine. I said, people are genuinely good people. I couldn't say, hey guys, let's all run into Nevada and vote for Biden. Who's with me? It didn't happen. It's not real, okay? And I'm going, this doesn't, and everywhere I checked, it was the same. By the way, the first state I did check was Nevada. And in Nevada, you had to be a citizen for 30 days. And there was 8,000 people had voted that didn't live in Nevada legally. But they didn't vote. Their names were used, but I didn't know that then. Well, on January 9th of 2021, I was handed evidence that explained it all, that it was done with computers. And I'm going, voila. When I get a deviation of one of my podcasters or radio shows or TV commercials, they're all tracked individually. If something good, if their big numbers big, I don't go, oh, that's great. Or if they're bad, I don't go, oh, a bad day. No, you need a different input to get a different output. And I dig into that every day and find out, wow, this is why it happened. And I duplicate it. If it's bad, I go, we're never going to do this again. And we change it, right? Well, when I got all that evidence on January 9th of 2021, it was under a government gag order where the government, this could not be released to the public. So all I needed was a signature from our then real president, Donald Trump. And I tried, as you all know. And I remember getting to the White House, and the lawyers had given me this envelope that was sealed. I was just bringing them the evidence to show and get this release signed. Well, they gave me this envelope. It was sealed and said, hey, if you get to see the president, give him this. It's some recommendations, right? So I didn't, and anyway, make a long story short, I go in there, show them the stuff. There's these lawyers there. They shoo me upstairs to the lawyers, and they open up that envelope and stuff, and they bring me back downstairs and said, yeah, we're not going to have time to meet with you today. And I go, oh, yeah, you are. I said, I'm not leaving until that man tells me I'm leaving. Well, in the meantime, I went out backside of the White House, and you all seen that famous picture. They had gave that envelope back, and it was open, and it says martial law written on the envelope. Remember that? They took it from a Washington Post guy, took it from a quarter mile away. And, well, that started the biggest attacks that I've had at that time in history. The media just attacked. Box stores canceled My Pillow. You name it, it happened to My Pillow. Shopping channels. And in the meantime, all these attack groups, I'm going, did you know China broke into our election? We got to get rid of the machines. And, I'm just going on and on. Well, then another date that was very historic was February 4th of 2021. And then everyone goes, well, why is that important? That's the day that Smartmatic sued Fox News. That started lawfare in our country that hadn't been done since 1792. And never been done since that date. And what that did, that silenced all the media that you trusted. Since that day, Fox News, Newsmax, Salem Media, none of them have ever mentioned the elections again, ever. You can't go on there and talk about, not just talk about machines. Fox News, when they wouldn't let Dinesh D'Souza go on and talk about 2,000 meals. That wasn't machines. All the good things I'm going to tell you going on right now in our country with these elections, that should be headlines at Fox News. Here should be a headline. Last fall, a judge, this called the Curling case, which is the case we based our stuff after, against crooked Brad Rassenberger down in Georgia. It's been going on 3.5 years where the machines were illegal in Georgia. They brought it before the 2020 election, and Crooked Brad, the Secretary of State, the biggest uniparty Republican this country's ever seen. He's tied with Robin Voss up in Wisconsin, but Brad's still a little ahead. And anyway, so this case goes on for 3.5 years, and then a guy named Alex Halderman, a cyber expert, and he gets to see inside the machines and actually does a report on it, him and another guy. And they're on the left. They're not. Believe me, they're not Trump supporters or the Republicans. But they're on there. Maybe even whatever. Well, he looks at it and he does this report, and they bury the report. Sissa and Crooked Brad and the judge bury the report. This goes all the way to last summer. They finally released the report. They released the report, and the judge now, an Obama-appointed judge in Georgia, in October, I believe it was. She says, you know what? The experts, we're going to move this case forward. The experts have looked inside and said there's problems. And if you question the machines, you're not a conspiracy theorist. So that day I got to take off my tinfoil hat on my own show there. It was great, right? Jimmy Kimmel put it out there. Look at Mike, he's no longer a conspiracy theorist. But tell that to some of the media that's here, right? I was just giving CNN an update out in the parking lot. But the point being is then that same case went to court on January 9th in Georgia. Alex Halderman with a ballpoint pen hacked into the machine in 3 minutes in front of the judge and flipped the election. Now, don't you think that should be on national news for all of us to see this? Well, it wasn't. I call it going, they went Fox on us. Well, that means they're not, Fox is like a weather channel that won't talk about hurricanes or tornadoes, right? Seriously. And Newsmax isn't far behind. Well, anyway, they silenced it. I'm going to give another example that I use all the time. In the same state of Georgia, this nice Democrat lady in the 2022 primary, she and her husband, and 3 Democrats running, she got 0 votes in her own precinct. 0. I joke about it and say Crooked Brad should have gave her 2 votes, and they have said, I'm sorry, ma'am, nobody loves you but your husband. But they gave her 0. Or they could have gave her 1, they'd probably be in divorce court, right? But Crooked Brad, they gave her 0. So they had to look into the machines, and they did it in 1 day. Wait, there's been a programming error. Brenda really got 3,600 votes. She went from 3rd to 1st, and they didn't question anything. It was done in 1 day, okay? Here's a better one. In a county, 4 counties over, another Democrat, she got 4,650 votes. Well, you go, what's wrong with that? She wasn't on the ballot. Okay, now think about this. She wasn't a write-in. She had said she was going to run. She put her name in the hat 2 months prior and withdrew right away. Now, what they did down there, they did it in 4 other places in the United States. One of them was in Tina Peters' race in Colorado. They bring in, if I want this person to win, and it's usually in the primaries, by the way, if I want this person to win, and I want this person is polling, and he's going to win, I bring in a third-party no-name and pull votes from this guy with the computers, and this one goes home the winner. Happened to Tina, and it happened to this gal that was going to be the winner in this race in Georgia. Well, anyway, she gets 4,600 votes. You think that made the national news or international news? No, but it did raise a flag in their local news, right? Going, we got a problem here. I'm sure they tried to write about it, and the big evil came in and said, you don't get to write about it, we're just going to correct it. Well, you know what they said on that one? This came right from the crooked Brad Ratzenberger's office, the Secretary of State. They made a statement. Here was the statement. It was a programming error. Now, they took the votes away from her, gave them back to the guy. They all came from that guy, and he was the rightful winner. And they did that in 3 days. But let me tell you what we asked the Secretary of State's office. We didn't ask it because they don't take my call, believe me. But we did send letters. Well, if you called it a programming error, where's the guy that typed in her name? You follow me? Who's that guy? Someone had to type in the name. And why are you programming our elections? It's disgusting. So anyway, I'm going to tell you this now. For a year and a half, I had absolute proof, absolute interference. We had the Cyber Symposium in South Dakota. If nothing else, it planted seeds where people hadn't heard because the media had blocked everything that had happened, things that were unexplainable. Well, let's see, Pennsylvania had more votes than voters. You can't, how do you explain that? Let's put 10 people, we all vote, we count the votes, and it's 10-5. It's crazy. And Pennsylvania's done that 3 elections in a row. I mean, you can't make this up. I tell our real president all the time, and he goes, Mike, what do the public think of what's going on? I said, sir, you keep getting indicted, you're going to end up with more votes than voters like Pennsylvania. Because it gets more popular as they attack, right? And true. And so anyway, at the ground level, we started fighting, and to get rid of these machines, I set up the Cause of America, my own network, Frank Speech, because the media, when they want to silence me, all the attack media that's here, I love it. That's what I do. It's the only way I can get the word out is if they attack me, because you're not going to have me on Fox or Newsmax, and I've been able to use them, sorry you guys back there, all this time. We've actually become kind of weird friends. Some of them, they write their articles so good, but they'll send them to me. I go, what do you think, Mike? I go, you got to bash me more. Your boss won't print it. Seriously. True story. But they'll quote me, at least they're quoting me now, that my battle is to get rid of the machines and get to paper ballots hand counted. It's not about a conspiracy of overturning the 2020 election. You know, I tell them all the time, I go, that ship sailed in the spring of 21. When I went on Jimmy Kimmel the first time and everybody said, don't do it, I said, I got to reach the public. And let me tell you something. After the Absolute Proof, when that movie came out on February 5th of 2021, I told all the media, wait till you see it. Wait till you see it on Friday. Well, when that movie dropped, you can check back. No journalist and no article was done on me for 17 days after that movie dropped. They had orders, do not even attack Mike Lindell. Don't say the movie was discredited or nothing. They went silent. So that scared me. I'm going, wow, if you have something and you can't even get attacked to get the word out, that was scary. That's where Frank's Speech was born. I'm going, I gotta pour money into making our own network so you can keep talking. Well, as I'm building that, I'm going, how am I going to get back in the news? How am I going to get the word out? Well, Dominion hadn't sued me yet. So if you all remember, I said, I'm out there going, sue me, Dominion, sue me on social media. Why aren't you suing me? Well, then I called up Swin from the Daily Beast, and I said, Swin, why don't you be a real journalist and go ask Dominion why they're not suing me? They sued everybody else, over 200 people in this country. And he goes, yeah, I'll go ask him. So he plops on over at Dominion. They said, oh, yeah, we're going to sue Mike Lindell. And so Swin calls me up. He tells me that. He says, yeah, it's imminent. They're going to sue you. I said, well, do an article about it. So he does. He put, yep, Dominion's going to sue Mike Lindell. 3 days go by. I'm getting upset. They haven't sued me yet. So I call up Swin, and I go, Swin, you better call Dominion to chop, hurry up, or you're going to be known as fake news. And sure enough, they sued me. But the point I'm making is that when they went silent, that's what they do to me. If they want to silence me, they just don't attack anymore, and they won't do anything. Now they're all here today, so I'm going to go right down the line. CNN, I'm out in the lobby, and we have another big event tomorrow with the Supreme Court roundtable we're doing in this hotel. I flew in all the experts and the lawyers from that case, and but here's what I want to say. So as we went before all these counties, and we went to people on the ground, people that have been fighting for 3 years now, over 3 years, but back in the first year and a half, we'd go to these clerks and we'd go to these states. Give an example, Cleburne County, Arkansas. They went machine-free to paper ballots hand-counted. Colonel John Reynolds and Will Huff and the teams on the ground there, all these counties in Arkansas were going to go to paper ballots. Because you can, at the county level, you can just vote it out and go to paper. And most counties in the United States. Arkansas, you can for sure. A guy by the name of Kim Hammers, another uniparty Republican, disgusting person, as a senator there, Republican, went to the Senate and they passed a law, and it just rammed it through in a week. You know what the law says, the bill says? If you are a county in Arkansas and you go to paper ballots hand counted, you are defunded by the state. Now you think about this. We all know what governor let go that threw down there. The same stuff they got going on in South Dakota. But we were tired of getting blocked by uniparty Republicans. So I said in the spring of 22, I said, we've got to take a different angle with these machines. And I said, let's get them on defective devices. Like you go to kind of like the curling case, the Crooked Brad Rassenberger case in Georgia. That's what it was. Every state has bylaws and laws there where they're defective. These things weren't certified. We went to Arizona first. Then I went to Alabama. But in the meantime, when I went to a state, I had to get plaintiffs, and you got to get attorneys in that state. This is where I spend millions of dollars on all this stuff. Well, I get there, and Kerry Lake and Mark Fincham in the spring of 22 said, yes, we'll be plaintiffs. And they were both running for office. What perfect people withstanding, right? I hired Alan Dershowitz even to have a Democrat on there. And so Alan Dershowitz, he goes, yeah, this isn't about Democrats or Republicans, about our free country and having free elections, right? So Alan gets on there, and these other great attorneys, Kurt Olson and other ones, and we get before the first judge in the summer of 22. and then I'm already over in Alabama, and I'm going to do every single state. I didn't care how long it took. I was going to get it done. Well, this judge rules that they didn't have standing. And I go, what do you mean they don't have standing? Who does if they don't have standing? Alan Dershowitz, I said, Alan, you told us they 100% have standing. You've been a lawyer for 100 years. What do you mean? And you're a Democrat. This judge is saying you don't have standing. So then we take it up to the Ninth Circuit in Arizona. Now, this goes through the election into 22. Now, does everyone remember what happened there? Here you're telling them the machines are defective, and they say you don't have standing, and here's Kari Lake's race and Mark Fincham, and 242 machines go down at the same time. And they're not horizontal, everybody. Now, think about this. I have hundreds of computers in my pillow. To have things where they're not horizontal, for the same thing to go down on every single computer in a specific area is 242. Let's say they weren't manipulated. It sounds like they might have a problem, right? Defective. You know, if it happens in your car, you have a recall, right? That's kind of what this case is. We got to look into these problems. So we get to the Ninth Circuit. This is even after the election. Now, Kari Lake, we did another lawsuit about overturning her election, and that's separate, you guys. This is still my case with the machine. So we go past the election. The Ninth Circuit in Arizona rules, yep, they don't have standing. And by the way, you shouldn't have even asked us. We're going to sanction you. So they sanction the lawyers, including coward Alan Dershowitz. So Alan gets sanctioned, and he runs, and he owes me a lot of money, and he runs for the hills. What a coward. One of the biggest cowards I've ever known in my life. Disgusting, okay? So, can I say that on this channel? I guess it's mine, so, frank speech. So anyway, Alan's a coward, and he owes me money, and he just walked off the case. Oh, I got sanctioned. What are you fighting for? I thought you were fighting for our country. You know, so anyway, but the great Kurt Olson, who you're going to see tomorrow in that thing, Kurt Olson and others take it to the Supreme Court, and Pat McSweeney, they were just with me, and they bring this to the Supreme Court. Now, let me tell you, this was a month ago, and they worked hard on this, but there's one thing that they made a mistake on, this thing that kicked out on standing. We all learned that word. When you have standing, this thing, we had never heard that word before. Every judge or any judge can kick any case out on standing, and they don't even have to give a reason why. It's an excuse for judges that are in fear to kick the can down the road. No judge in the United States has looked at any of these cases based on merit ever. So any of these media back there say, well, they've checked into it, and, you know, machines are the best thing, and all the cases, they lost every case. No, that's a lie. They were shoved out on standing. So anyway, but when you go to the Supreme Court, because you're kicked out on standing, you can add evidence to the case. It's a beautiful thing. So last November, from two different directions, it ended up at the same place. So two different groups, I deal with both of them, but they ended up with this evidence. Inside the machines were decryption keys. And these decryption keys are like God keys. It's like if you have a bank vault, here's the combination written on the front. It's like having your ATM card. I give you my card, and I can put my password on the back of it. They're right there in the open for anyone to see. And then also there was software used that was switched in Arizona specifically. That's a felony. And this isn't subjective. This is real. These are facts. So this gets brought before the Supreme Court a month ago. Now, this isn't the one where they just threw out my cell phone yesterday or 2 days that you read about. My Supreme Court case, you know, they won't give his phone back. That's a whole other story. And interesting, that was coming up Friday for consideration too. Why did they do that 3 days early? Kind of weird, right? Well, anyway, the Supreme Court now, this Friday, it's up for consideration. And there's two things there that they have to look at. One is they can see this new evidence. Our government deemed our elections critical infrastructure. Well, I'll tell you what, when you see that China and all the stuff that we've shown them now in this thing and with these machines, these Supreme Court, they can see that, and they need to pull it in. And also, they could rule on, hey, you lower courts that kick these things out for standing? You don't think Kari Lake and Mark Fincham had standing? Well, then who would? You're running for office and that 242 machines go down. And it's just nonsensical common sense. So what I really believe, just like you've seen 9-0, when they did that crazy thing of Colorado, that the Supreme Court over it said 9-0, of course he can be on the ballot. I believe if they pull this in, it's so black and white and it's easy where, hey, I think you're going to have the Democrats, the Republicans, and even the compromise one. I think it'll be 9-0. I really do, because you can't vote any other way. How do you say, well, those decryption keys aren't so bad, you know? Is China coming into our election? That's not a bad deal, is it? What do you think? They're Justice number 2. These Supreme Court justices are people. They have children, grandchildren, they have neighbors, and they've seen the destruction of our country for 3 years. They know if they don't start, this can't be a political thing. The judges can't be political anymore. It can't be politicized. It has to be for the people. We the people. They need to vote on this, and they need to vote 9-0 and get rid of these electronic voting machines, period. I know I'm over, but I want to tell you the other thing that's going on. That's us from the top level. I announced a plan in August of this year. You can go there, lindellplan.com, to secure our elections. It's kind of like a massive sales pitch to 3,143 counties. I have over 300,000 people on the ground in all 50 states. They're working tirelessly every day. But they went there, and they've gotten shut out, or blocked by uniparty Republicans. Well, what we're doing, I announced this plan that we're going to go back to all of them. And we're going to leave one county behind. And we're with a new sales pitch and evidence where we have the machines are online. We have devices that show that. We're going to show them anything that comes out of their mouth, why they like to keep those machines. We've got the answer for, it's going to take too long. No, it's 10 times cheaper. And it gets not the same time as the machines. We've already done it in Osage County, Missouri. But whatever they say, we have that we can, we have the answer for. Well, one of the things we're doing is we're doing the biggest petition in the United States history, and it's set up today. If you go to lindellplan.com, every county has their own, and we're not using this like a normal petition. Hey, look how many people. No, we're going to be bringing it to those county officials and say, and by the way, on top of all this, 90% of our county, Democrats, Republicans, we the people, want paper ballots hand counted. So this is all going on right now. We started in South Dakota, and I know I'm running out of time here, but we started in South Dakota a couple months ago, and we've gotten so much pushback there by uniparty Republicans, it's disgusting. But this time around, we're all going to do it at the same time. It's the power of numbers. Maybe the media would even cover it saying, hey, there's something going on. Every county wants paper ballots hand counted. Well, we're not a divided country. What's happening right now, and I'm going to end with this. Like I told our great real president, Donald Trump, him and I are sitting there one day, and a couple of weeks ago, and he always asks me, we encourage each other. I've never seen a more courageous man than him. And by the way, courage is contagious. You all got to stand up now and this is it. We get one shot at this. Well, anyway, I said there's 2 buckets going on. I said this bucket here is your bucket, the bucket of common sense. People remember December of 2019 when their lives had improved, the highest consumer confidence ever. And all this destruction going on to our country is actually helping in a weird way. People are jumping into this bucket from both sides. I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican. And I said, once they're in the bucket, you've given them no reason to leave this bucket. I said, this bucket overflows. I said, you're going to end up with more votes than anyone in history. And like I said, the more he gets to indict him and stuff and attack him, the more people jump into the bucket from both sides because it's the only way out. This is the common sense bucket. And I said, but then there's another bucket going on. And this is where we all win. People don't look to God when things are going good. Do you think in December of 2019 that people are going, thank you, God. Oh, I can, my economy's so good. Everything's great. Boy, wherever you started, no matter how many forks you ate with, your lives improved a little bit physically. But I'll tell you what, people look to God when things are going bad. And they're pouring into this bucket. We are in the biggest revival for Jesus Christ in history, everybody. So it's a win-win. Enjoy where we're at, because this is the best time in history to be alive. And when we get way out here to this glorious place we're going to get to, you're going to look back and say it was all on God's timing, and everything had to happen just the way it did, even the bad stuff. So just enjoy it and keep the faith and be courageous, because God wins in the end. Thank you. God bless you.
You are fantastic. That's the ever quiet and reserved Mike Lindell for you. I've got something serious to say about Mike Lindell. Has he done anything to hurt anybody? He is doing this because he believes in it totally. It's cost him millions and millions and millions of dollars, and he's still going. And he's not going to stop because he believes in this cause. I love people who stand for the right and do what's right, regardless of how much it costs them and regardless of the repercussions. We need more people like that. We need more sheriffs like that. We need more public officials like that all over America.